and welcome to Campaign Chronicles, France 24's regular countdown to the presidential election. With 11 weeks to go, the race to the Élysée Palace is now very much underway. Coming up in this week's show, the ruling UMP shows its mettle even as the grassroots face the cold shoulder in the Arctic weather. The far-right candidate pleads to be treated like any other party, as well as wanting special treatment. And in Faces and Places, we'll be meeting a scientist who fears funding changes risk causing a brain drain. First, though, a look at a wrap of the week's news with surprises galore as one candidate feels the heat, another the wrath of a voter, while some are just looking for attention of any kind.
Another week, another campaign programme. Centrist François Bayrou's 20 points to fight excess debt and create jobs. As well as trying to boost his poll figures, currently plateauing at 12%, Bayrou needs to mark himself out from the other big parties. The Socialists say the man from the Modem's plan for a balanced budget in 3 years means he's moving towards the Conservatives, and the UMP agrees.
Il y a beaucoup de points communs avec notre famille politique.
A novel way to remedy poll figures in the doldrums. The environmentalist's candidate Eva Joly released her autobiography this week, titled Without Cheating. Accused of being not well known enough for the campaign, her goal is to outline how she's risen from being a Norwegian au pair in Paris in her youth to a presidential candidate. His campaign's struggling to take off, and he blames a media blackout. Eurosceptic Nicolas Dupont-Aignan has taken matters into his own hands, leading this protest against rising motorway tolls after a 2% price hike. His protectionist platform, though, needs a breakthrough. He's still stuck at under 1% in the polls. Another one bites the dust. Jean-Pierre Chevènement is the first presidential wannabe to throw in the towel. The left-wing Eurosceptic says he won't go any further in this, his third campaign. The Socialists say that's a wise choice, while the left front's Jean-Luc Mélenchon say he wants to know who the 72-year-old will be backing. And flower power, not to everyone's taste. François Hollande targeted at Wednesday's housing summit, the lone protester overshadowing his pledge to build more homes. The incident comes just a day before his police protection team was strengthened to 14 officers. And he's not very well known, but he's got something many other candidates would give their right arm for. Jacques Cheminade says he's got the promise of 500 signatures from local dignitaries. That qualifies him for the first round of the presidential vote. Cheminade last ran in 1995 and came last, getting just 0.28% of the vote. So what's his secret this time?
The others haven't been on the ground. They didn't put the effort in. They didn't do the work they had to.
Now, last weekend, Nicolas Sarkozy once again refused to confirm he wants to run for re-election. Even without a candidate to campaign for, though, the grassroots activists still have to get the party's message across. And for the moment, defending the non-candidate is not proving an easy task.
At the ruling UMP party's national convention last weekend, with the clock ticking on the presidential campaign, the watchwords were unity and courage.
Let's be courageous, and we will be successful.
Yes, it's courage that will give us the strength to act.
Nicolas Sarkozy isn't yet a candidate, but as he rolled out new unpopular reforms on national TV on Sunday, it's his government's task to defend their champion. The president wants the party's up-and-coming figures to remobilise the grassroots. That explains this gathering in a bar in a chic area of Paris. A senator and a deputy minister, both in their 40s, face-to-face with 50 or so activists. The crowd is made up of young professionals. They already vote UMP, and they're not here for the atmosphere.
These meetings are aimed at ensuring our activists understand the decisions and make sure they have the arguments and then pass them on.
For the more attentive pupils, it's a chance to swat up on campaign themes.
I'm taking notes so I can get my head around the UMP's party line. That's important because when I go out leafleting, it helps me answer people's questions.
The gathering does address one clear problem. The UMP is trailing the Socialists, both in the polls and in the campaign timetable.
It's important for us to have this debate because the socialists have already organised and are already on the ground, and they're already throwing their arguments in our face when we go to meet people.
After work the next day, despite the bitter cold, the keenest activists put that cramming into practice. But it doesn't necessarily win round the voters, even the UMP faithful.
There's no need to kid yourself. I say we're done for, and I'm right-wing. And in the end, it doesn't bother me anymore because he's been bad, our president. He's been no good.
That then is the problem. Nicolas Sarkozy has been in office for the past 5 years, and it's on his record that he's being judged, leaving even his loyal supporters with an uphill battle.
Well, I'm joined now in the studio by the show's reporter, Luke Brown. And Luke, you've got a tweet of the week for us that demonstrates just how Sarkozy's trying to get his message across.
Yes, we saw how the president basically summoned all the ruling party's MPs earlier this week. For the first time, tweeting was allowed inside the meeting. Pretty much got a blow-by-blow account of what was going on indoors. Chantal Joanneau, who we saw in that report, she's only been on Twitter for 3 weeks. She's very keen, though, 175 tweets so far, including 27 alone during that meeting. Also from that was basically a motivational therapy session. Sébastien Huyghe there, who's quoting Sarkozy as being, well, despite the depression that he's supposed to be suffering, he must be the chirpiest, cheeriest suicide risk in France.
All right, OK, let's leave the UMP for the moment and talk about the far right, because they're determined to be taken seriously.
Yes, there's this new book that came out this week. Basically, this is Marine Le Pen's world view. As you can see from the front cover there, she is smiling on the beach barefoot. She wants to come across as perhaps a friendly, nice person. This is all about dispelling many of the negative myths that surround the party. That's also why she's quoting from a number of diverse sources that are basically her ideological adversaries. Karl Marx, George Orwell or Charles de Gaulle. This, she says, is her compass for these stormy times.
A compass for France, I assume.
Exactly that. It's France's workers that are suffering at the hands of what she calls a globalism. Now, globalism is what the Front National calls international free market economics. Now, while she does want to get rid of this idea, of this reputation as a xenophobic party, she still can't resist calling mass immigration an economic weapon organised by big business. Her real message behind all this, this smoke and mirrors of these economic theories, is very much aimed at her potential voters. On the one hand, you've got the Front National and the put-upon population of France, and on the other hand, the elites that she says run the system.
So this book is all about coming across as a serious political party in this presidential race. Is there a Front National like any other party?
Well, she wants to be treated normally, but she keeps on going on about it's us against them. That's the theme that she keeps returning to. She wants a law to be changed. She's asked for that in the past couple of weeks, that she won't be ruled out of the vote on a technicality. That decision is currently with the Supreme Court here in France. She says she's about 150 signatures short of the 500 cut-off point that would allow her to qualify for this first round of voting. This, though, again, does demonstrate some of the big divisions in French politics at the moment. The big parties, the UMP, the Socialist Party, they say there's no need to change the rules. Many of the small ones outside of the system, even if they don't agree with Marine Le Pen politically, on this, they do agree with her.
All right, look, thank you very much indeed. Well, it's time now for our weekly rendezvous with French voters in Faces and Places. This week we're in Grenoble, where researcher Isabelle says more sectors should be like hers and ensure women get the same salaries as their male colleagues.
Isabelle is a lecturer and researcher at France's National Institute for Health and Medical Research. Conditions have changed since she began working on epilepsy 11 years ago. Funding for her research depends increasingly on decisions taken by outside commissions. What worries Isabelle is that these changes are making jobs in her sector less secure.
Funding allows us to hire people like postdoctorates, engineers and technicians. The problem is we can only take them on for as long as the funding lasts. These people bring us a lot and contribute to our research. But if the funding stops, we have to let them go, along with all the skills they possess.
Bonjour Anne-Marie. Increasing numbers of women are working in research, and Isabelle's treated in the same way as her male colleagues at the Institute. But that's not the case in all French companies, and she'd like the authorities to take action.
Even now in 2012, official reports say that women receive lower wages than men for jobs requiring the same skills. One solution could be to force companies to publish the salaries of men and women doing similar jobs. And if they're not equal, these companies could be punished.
Isabelle moved to Grenoble 7 years ago. This French city is at the crossroads of Europe, close to the border with Italy. At a time when there's talk of the Eurozone falling apart, Isabelle believes in giving Europe itself another chance.
We're still at the stage where improvements must be made. I think it would be a mistake to give up trying too soon. The European Union allows for economic, social and cultural exchanges. Abandoning Europe is not a solution. We member states can only benefit from helping each other out.
For Isabelle, 2012 is a year to look towards the future. She's about to publish the first results of her past 4 years of research.
Well, that's all we've got time for in this update. Check out our Facebook and Twitter accounts. The addresses are at the bottom of your screen now. And, of course, you can let us know what you think. We'll see you next week for more from Campaign Chronicles. Bye-bye.